in the broadcast when it comes on, and hopefully it's working.
Okay, welcome back to ANZCRL Combined Racing League's round 4 of the GT3 Open Division, and I mean not Pro, I should say Pro Division. For Pro Division, sorry, for race 2, the 45-minute feature race with a mandatory pit stop. We've got 6 minutes remaining to qualifying, and alongside me again is their sensational race caller, GT3 Gaming.
You're too kind, Woody Lizard. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pro GT3 Racing in this championship, where it's our second race from Fuji Speedway, and currently there is a battle going on in qualifying with Dark Racing on the pole, on the provisional pole so far by the oh so slightest of margins, ahead of Dado Racer by 2.5 of a second in the two Lamborghinis. But don't discount Sado. I'm sure he's currently on a fast lap. I think Darky is taking a little bit slower as Dado actually goes to provisional pole by 0.2 of a second. That's an impressive lap. Logical Sport, he's about to come across the line. Will he improve in the GTR? Doesn't look like he does. Let's cut to Sado and see. Wait, now he was our pole sitter and race winner from the sprint race. Let's see if he can put it on pole for the feature, the 45-minute feature, of course, as he is about to cross the line now, and he goes to pole. It's provisional pole with a 1:38.7. That's a blisteringly fast lap time.
Yeah, it is definitely a fast time, but we've got the two Lamborghini Hurricanes chasing him down at this moment as Darky's just started his timed lap. Now, he cruised around that out lap, I think, just cooling everything down because he's been on track for a little while.
Yeah, we noticed he slowed down during his last lap, so I think he might just be he might have invalidated or just run a bit wide, so he wanted to conserve the car for another lap so he doesn't have to go into the pit lane again to get that all fixed up. But Darky, he will be he'll actually probably be desperate to win this race, because if he has any hope of winning the championship, he needs to deliver. I mean, obviously third is a commendable result, it's a great result on the podium, but he needs to deliver here, possibly a win, to put himself in the championship hunt. Otherwise it will probably be between Sado and Dado. Try saying that without making a mistake quite fast. But it seems that two of our... and Sado, I don't think that lap will be faster because he's run up on the curb, but you never know. He might have had a otherwise very good lap.
And basically, as the points system works, if Dado actually wins this feature race, he'll actually come away with a round victory as well. So it's double points here for the feature race over the shortest 20-minute sprint race that we just had that Sado won. So that's why this feature race is more important, basically, to get a good result. And if Darky wins the race and Sado comes home in about third, Darky would actually take the round victory over Dado if he came second. So it's going to be close, and obviously race is still on. So we know these three guys are fairly fast, and there's nothing in it here at the moment. Gear 3 Gaming, 200ths of a second between first and third.
Just under 0.3 actually, but look how close Darky is to breaking the 1:38. So that must be so frustrating, because if he can go just a little bit quicker, he can actually put himself on the front row alongside Sado, and if it's even faster than that, he might even clinch pole position here. But yeah, as you said, it's all still certainly to play for from both a championship perspective and obviously, of course, from the point of view of winning this round here at Fuji Speedway. If the sprint race was anything to go by, then the feature race should be an absolute classic. And obviously we have to take into account pit stops will now be a factor, as of course there is a mandatory pit stop. You don't have to do anything to your car in that pit stop, but you got to stop in your pit bay and leave it for that to count as your mandatory pit stop. So depending on when you take that could actually make or break your race. If you are in the midst of a battle that's worn on perhaps a bit too long, it'd probably be a good time to pit. But if you're in clean air, you might want to run it all the way until the end of the race. Build a gap to the cars behind, as big of a gap as possible, and just try and come in at the latest possible moment.
Yeah, Sado just went faster that previous lap there.
Oh my goodness
He's
me.
got it now 38.172. He's absolutely flying at the moment.
I think Darky and Dado are going to have to do something pretty special in order to top that, because that is so fast, that 138.
Yeah,
obviously
I
qualifying
think it's
is still going.
It's still going. We've got 1 minute remaining of this qualifying session, but I really think these Lamborghinis are just going to have to try and see if they can get in front of that Ferrari in the race, down into leading to turn 1 or somewhere along the stages of that first lap, and try and keep that Ferrari at bay, because that Ferrari has just lapped this track up.
Dado's bailing out of the lap
Set of lights
and doing a pit stop practice.
Yeah, pretty important that they get on the marks here too, because there's a lot of time to be gained and a lot to be lost if you come in there a little bit too hot and don't get down to the 60 kilometres an hour before the pit lane entry.
Oh, I should note, what car? Oh, Matty Seekings decided to go for the Acura again. I would have thought he would have switched to the Z4, but obviously not.
Obviously doing it for the team though, of the P51 Sim Sports, as it's a very welcome points that Weary Knight will get.
Oh, and Darky's bailed out of his lap as well, so any chance of him making the front row has gone away as he does a pit stop practice. It's not the easiest pit lane, because pit entry, because it's longer than you expect. So come in too slow and you'll lose time, but come in too fast and you'll pick up a penalty, which is not something. Well, that's very, very costly, and pretty much if you get a penalty because of how competitive this lobby is, that may cost you your race. So anyway, a Logical Sport has given up on his qualifying lap. That leaves...
And Nürburger has been struggling, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's put the time down a bit, but still in 7th position. So obviously things aren't going right there for the team WRT Audi.
That's right, and here is your grid. So Sado 15 starts on the pole, followed by Dado Racer and Dark Racing 40 in 3rd place in the second of the Lamborghinis, followed by Logical Sports, Dark Lord, Matty Seeking, and Nürburger with a slightly faster time at the end, just rounding off the grid, almost making the 1 minute 40s. But that is your grid, and it's effectively a very similar starting order to last time.
I believe Matty Seeking was 5th. He split Dark Lord and a Logical Sport, so he put it right there in 5th position. So he's 1 position back, Matty Seeking, in the 69 Black Thumb Acura. And that battle between him and Dark Lord should be very entertaining in this 45-minute race, I would believe. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that might be... I mean, you know, obviously the battle was raging between Darky and Logical Sports in the sprint race, but that might actually be something that we might focus on a bit more this race, the battle between Maddie and Dark Lord. So, Sado on the pole, if he can get another good start and pull away from the field, then I don't see any reason why he can't sweep this round. But maybe Darky will find that extra bit of motivation, extra bit of pace to get himself into the championship hunt, and might be able to pull something out of the bag if something unexpected happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Dado didn't do himself any favours from memory on that first race start. He was a bit far back on Sado, and as Sado was coming up towards the grid area on this rolling start, then he pushed it up right in front of Sado, and then he had to back off because the lights hadn't gone green yet. And so he had to back himself out because he was actually effectively in front of Sado. So he missed the jump, but doing that at the same time also put confusion for the second row. They weren't able to push up closer to Sado, and that's where Darky wants in that Lambo. He wants to try and be really close to Sado and get that little jump at the start of the green light here tonight, so for this feature race.
So
if Dado...
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, Darky's been struggling with his starts a little bit, because I heard him mention earlier in the week, he basically said, you know, I just get these amazing starts, but I'm just behind somebody else, and I have a run, but I can't do anything with the run.
Yeah, and I think that also what I said there with what Dado did too at the start of this race one, you know, didn't do anyone behind any favours either. So if he can actually line up alongside Sato a lot earlier and just follow that pace and let the guys behind form up a little bit better as well, we could have a big challenge into turn one this time around for this feature race.
Yeah, and obviously the dynamic of this race will be a little bit different as well, so that will spice things up. Obviously, as we mentioned before, there will be a mandatory pit stop, and that plays into the strategy in a big way, depending on when you serve it, as we mentioned before.
And another thing about those mandatory stops too, Gear, as we're all aware, is damage. Like if you sustain a little bit of damage and then you do your pit stop to get that damage repair in that mandatory stop, obviously that's going to take you a little bit longer, so you're going to have to gauge when you're going to have that pit stop, knowing that you might lose to your competitors with that repair work to be done on your car, or alternatively you avoid the repair and turn it off, but that can be costly over the duration of the race as well.
See, I reckon if you get damage early on in the race, you pit and make the best of a bad situation, because if people get caught up in battles and lose time, you can make that up early in the race. Anyway, later in the race. Anyway, as we mentioned, Sato is taking the right-hand side of the track, again, just like he did in the first race. The cars are forming up, heading towards the start-finish line. Will it be a repeat of last race, or will there be something different? It looks like Darky is getting ready to make the start of his life. He clearly wants this win, and we're only moments away from the start of this 45-minute race. Oh, Dado's going to be ahead.
Dado.
Something strange has happened there as the green flag flies. Dado is some reason in the lead.
So Dado may find that he's going to pick up a penalty here, because you cannot be leading the race when he was actually physically second to start off with. So let's see how this pans out. But
something interesting has happened there. I don't entirely know what's gone on. I'm a bit...
But as we look at it, though, Dado is leading the race here with Sato behind. Could there be a bug in the game that Dado has been able to
go before
manipulate and take this lead before he should be? But being out of position before the start of the race is definitely normally a drive-through or a penalty, so we'll wait and see what happens here.
We might have to look at the timing to see who's picked up penalties. But meanwhile, the battle is already kicking off here at the front as Dark Racing 40 is possibly looking at a move on Sato, but he doesn't go for it this time. Maybe he just didn't see there was any room there. Oh, Darky got a little bit out of shape there, but he's kept it together.
And Nürburger's gone. Oh no, it wasn't Nürburger. I thought it was Nürburger, but it was Matty going wide into the Dunlop corner.
Yeah. No, but it seems another clean start, just like, oh, and Sato gets all out of shape there, and that lets Dado get away even further, but that puts him into the clutches of Dark Racing 40. You just saw there, the car just ended up in a four-wheel slide and was pretty much completely out of control there. As Sato up on the curb, that's going to lose him even more time. And let's see what kind of run Darky can get on the man, currently running in second place, and the winner from the sprint race in the number 2 FF Corsa Ferrari. Can Darky find the run? It looks like he might be able to, but is he too far back? Let's see what happens this time by. Meanwhile, in the background, oh, and Illogical Sport tries the move on Dark Racing 40. Illogical out of shape, and Darky's going to go back through. Matty Seeking's in the pits at the end of the first lap, but the battles are already kicking off just as they did last time, and Darky's got himself back up into third place. But unfortunately, in a little kerfuffle that happened at the first corner, Darky's begun to drop back from Sato, which isn't what he wanted at all. What else is going on?
Well, Nürburger has had a sensational start from 7th, like from back of the grid into 5th position, and also pressuring Logical Sports right behind there, as he's also trying to bring Dark Lord along for the ride as well. So Sato still will be a little bit miffed about how Dado could actually physically take the line at the start of the race when he should be second on the grid, and it doesn't look like any time penalties has been applied to Dado. And
No, it
looks all good to me.
Doesn't seem so. That is so weird. I think we might even have to do post-race interviews and see what has actually gone on there. I mean, on my screen, I'm not sure if you can see this, but on the timing screen, half the drivers have the warning triangle next to their name. I'm not entirely sure why. Some of them are starting to disappear now. I just can't fathom what's gone on here.
Yeah, those little warning triangles, just so Gear knows as he's returning back into the commentary booth and on the race director. That means that they're within a 1 second of the car in front, so it just makes it easy for you to understand where there's some battles.
That's a good broadcast tool. Oh, and who's coming to the pit lane? That's Dark Lord. He's decided to make the jump early on. I'm not sure if he would have had damage, but maybe that's just an interesting strategy gamble, trying to get himself out of battles and into clean air as the battle continues to rage at the front. Whatever's gone on with Dado, it has thrown something of a spanner in the works for Sado, as normally he would have gotten a brilliant start, just managed to pull out from the rest of the field behind him, but he hasn't been able to do that this race. But Dado got up on the curb, that will slow him up a little bit, and his exit isn't fantastic, so Sado will have the run here through 300R. He puts himself on the outside. Can he maybe throw something down or around the outside into Dunlop? Is he going to try it this time by? No, he doesn't. But does Dado go? Oh, he had to slow it up a lot there.
No, he's planted it pretty well there, but into these little complex here of turns 13 and 14 is very interesting. But look at Nürburgring making a move on a Logical. Don't know if the Logical had a little moment then.
He's still gotten through.
But we did say Nürburgring was starting to get on the back of a Logical the previous lap, so a good little turnaround for Nürburgring.
Slide from Nürburgring.
First race.
There's another slide from Nürburgring. Oh, and Sado is, in the meantime, has gotten right up to the back of Dado. Let's see what kind of slipstream he can get. Dado tries to break the toe, but it looks like Sado will get through this time by. Meanwhile, Darky is being brought into the fray as well. Let's see.
I tell you what, that Lambo's still got some legs.
It sure does.
Holding on.
They cross the line pretty much side by side. It's anyone's guess as to who gets by on this lap. Oh, and it looks like Sado's just gonna hang it around the outside, and he gets the drive out of turn 1, and looks like for the time being will put himself ahead of Dado, but Dado's going to try and hold it around the outside of Coca-Cola corner, but Sado slides back into the lead, but it looks like Dado's going to go on the counter-attack here, looking to the outside. Darky's in the fray as well. This is so close at the moment. Sado has the inside for the hairpin. Oh, and there's contact, and Dado's pushed wide, leaving the door open for Darky to go through on Sado. Dado has to fall back to third place, but let's see. Darky now has a prime opportunity to take the lead. It never came in the sprint race, but here's his moment. He's hit Sado! Sado goes nearly spinning, and Darky has given back second place to Dado. I guess he just let Sado get away there for that little incident. That was slightly out of character for Darky, but he's gone straight into the back of Sado. But it's and here we go. Battle's raging in the front as well. Dado's down the inside of Sado, and he gets the drive out of the second to last corner, and Dado puts himself in the lead once more. Oh my goodness me! Sado spun it
from Sado.
Sado spins it, and he's dropped to fourth. This will have any number of championship implications. That was so out of character for Sado, and it looks like Darky, he's going to make the jump. He's going to be the first of the top three to come into the pit lane, but that is just so dramatic.
Darky's in because he will have front-end damage too, be suffering from pace down the straight, so he's going to have a bit of a delayed stop, but out of character from Darky. I'm not too sure. A lot of viewers that may have been watching a few of this GT3 Pro division, Darky has been finding the back at rear ends of cars quite regularly, so it's a bit out of character, but for this series, Darky's just been late on the brakes and been getting involved, tagging those cars in front, but at the same time, he's kept it clean after making that little mistake, and then Sado ends up having a spin on his own accord when he gets into the back of Dado into the final corner, and he's dropped those positions back into third, but he's got that big Nissan of a Logical Sports in front of him, And Dado's rubbing his hands as he's negotiating through the Dunlop corners and then up into these final parts. But look at this battle.
This is for
between
last.
Dark Lord and Matty.
This is for last, and it's all kicking off. Matty goes down the inside at Coca-Cola corner. Do they come out the other side? Yes, they do. But here comes Dark Lord round the outside at 100R, and that is a fantastic move, putting himself up into 6th place once more. My goodness me, this has been such a dramatic race all throughout the field. But as we were saying about Darky before, he may actually be able to make the best of a bad situation here, because he's made his pit stop now. He doesn't have to stop again, and that means he's going to avoid any potential battles that happen in front of him. He'll be able to run fast times in clean air, and he might be able to make the best of this. But as we were saying about Sado before, he just made that mistake where he just got onto the curb on the outside, and it's just a killer. You spin the tires up on that curb, you're going for some kind of ride, and it just ended pretty terribly for Sado. He temporarily dropped to 4th, but Darky came in, and Sado's now up into the podium places. But my goodness me, it's just been so dramatic. And Dado, somehow getting a mystery good start, has survived the carnage for the time being, and finds himself in the lead of this race, 3 seconds ahead of Illogical Sports.
Yeah, and we could be in front of the stewards after this race for all that start. We're not too sure. Obviously, that will be discussed after the event. But Nürburgring looks like he's got a little time penalty with a red beside his name.
Let's see
so
what this might have
been a bit of track limits there.
He's
but the big moment for, as you said, Darky was lucky that he was able to get that pit stop done and dusted, and those little repairs that he may need at the front end, and still come out in front of Matty Seeking and Dark Lord, so he doesn't get involved in that battle that we've been watching as well.
Do you know, I reckon Illogical Sports may be a dark horse to win this race. If he can just keep it clean and play the strategy game correct, then he might be able to find himself maybe even at least in 2nd place. I mean, I reckon, I don't know what's going to happen with Dado, but you know, Illogical Sports has just turned himself into potentially an unexpected player in this turn of events.
And he could definitely get a podium at the end of the round results as well. So I think he finished 4th in the first race. So if he can come 2nd, he's definitely going to be on a chance to come home 3rd overall in the round, depending on how these guys finish. Sado, as I said, just got ruffled up a little bit, and was just, sometimes that's just all it takes, just to get yourself out of character a little bit, and you know, and just got that tag at the back of Dado when Dado made that beautiful move around the down the inside, I think it was, of the second to last corner. I think it was the Nets corner. I think it was turn 15.
It's a bit hard to keep track of at this stage. There's just been so much drama, but it should also be noted, I'm interested to see how this plays out in the strategy race. Dado is effectively the last of the top 3 or top 4 protagonists, so to speak, who is yet to stop. So, I don't know, if he stops now, he'd probably find himself in some of the midfield battles. I don't know, how does this play into it? I mean, he has to stop eventually, It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, if he pits, he's going to be behind Nürburgring somewhere, but still on clear track. But I would stay out a little bit further, because you don't want to get involved with Sado going long, or Illogical going long, and getting caught up in a battle with Nürburgring, knowing that Nürburgring is roughly a second and 1.5 seconds slower than these guys. But got the ability to hold them up as well at the same time.
Sorry, I've made a minor mistake. Sado is yet to stop. So it's only Darky.
Illogical and Nürburgring. Nürburgring had to stop still, didn't he?
He might have done. I know some of the guys currently towards the back have all stopped because they took the opportunity early on in the race, which might end up being
Matty
a smart move.
Dark Lord. Yeah, so I think the top 4 are yet to pit at this stage.
So how long does a pit stop generally take here? I'm trying to remember last night. It's probably about 30 or 40 seconds. So even if Dado actually pit now, he might even come out behind Matty Seeking sort of area and Dark Lord sort of territory as well. But who's the fastest man on the track? Currently, it's Dark Racing 40 actually, or is that? It gets a bit confusing with all the DAR names.
Yeah, it's Darky's on the 39 in 5th position there, but You know, Sato's at least chasing down the logic. I think that they're going to wait at least to probably with 20 minutes remaining before these guys will pit. There's no benefit from them pitting early or changing the strategy up.
Sato's pushing
There's
that Ferrari.
nothing to be gained at the moment. As long as they don't have any damage to their car, there's no reason these guys should really pit, in my opinion.
So I'd say if you're near the front and are yet to stop, unless you're locked in a battle, then you may as well take advantage of the clean air. And actually, as Woody has told me earlier in the race, the triangle's up on the screen, which means Sato is within a second of a logical sport. But we're on the straight now, and I think that Nissan GTR probably is the fastest straight line speed car at the moment. Not sure what that would say on the... let's see how fast he goes down the straight. I'll let all the audience see that.
Yeah, nudging about 270, just over 270 before he's on the anchors hard into turn 1, the first corner.
Sato, did he run a bit deep? Nah, I think he was probably alright there. Oops, sorry about that. Closest speeder, yes.
2-second time penalty still for Nürburger in 4th position. He's looking pretty good though to maybe
here's the
finish
run.
up maybe 5th in this race if he continues on well. But he could fall himself back into the clutches of Maddie Seeking in 6th position.
Sorry,
that Dark Lord just seems to be struggling a little bit here in this second race.
That Ferrari was so fast through 100R. Look how much Sato's gained on the logical sport just then. He was almost pretty much just flat through that corner. That was pretty much no understeer from the mid-engine Ferrari, and he's caught right up to the back bumper of the what's the team name for that GTR? It's the
Always Evolving
P51
P51 Sim Sports crew.
Yes.
Of that Nissan.
Look, Logical Sports was very slow out of the third to last corner. Sato is sensing opportunity here. He has a look to the outside.
So this is when you may think, if he can't clear him on the next lap, if he doesn't pit now, Sato, you'd be thinking about pitting, but he's right on his tail here.
Look at that. He's got a perfect run out of the last corner.
He does, but you might find that the Nissan will have the legs maybe into turn 1, but that Ferrari is no slouch at all. But look at that Nissan just power on through.
Oh, they're so close to the line. Can Sato, I reckon Sato can stick it out the inside if he's brave enough on the brakes. Logical Sport covers the line. I'm not sure if there's contact there as Nürburger makes his pit stop, so...
yeah, that was a nice defensive move by Logical. He's not giving up to Sato at all. He's not giving him a gift run through for a position.
Sato got very sideways. He almost lost it on the curbs on the outside of Coca-Cola corner. And he's lost some time to Logical.
Yeah, through 100R where we saw him so strong the previous lap over a Logical. And obviously Sato was just on the gas a little bit too early out of Coca-Cola, I'd say, and he got it all crossed up. And missed his turning into the 100R. Well,
it's not so much... I think oversteer is a slightly rare issue on Coca-Cola corner. It's the main issue is understeering onto the outside curbs. And you may as well, once you're on those curbs, you may as well just lift off the throttle. Because if you spin the rears up, you'll be pitched to the left and straight into the wall. So you may as well lose a little bit of time just by lifting off, taking it a bit safe. Then you'll save a lot more time than a damaged car in the pit lane, that's for sure.
Definitely gear, and that's all about your racecraft as well, and that's where some of these drivers just consistently can get through these races at a very fast pace as well, because they just know when to lift off when things aren't going quite right, and they don't try and fight that car too hard.
Yeah.
I thought Sato may be coming in here.
He is coming in. He makes the jump. That was very close to the wall on entrance, but he's managed to pull it up.
He did. That's a great... we saw him during qualifying and doing that as well, Sato. So that's definitely puts him in a good advantage, maybe over a Logical for the change of the pit stop. So if I was a Logical, I'd be pitting this next lap. Otherwise, he will definitely find himself losing this position to Sato, because he's going to put in a very fast out lap, I would imagine.
So I think Sato's pit has Dark Racing and 40 has pit. Maddie Seeking, I think, is pit. Nürburger is pit. And Dark Lord, I believe, is also pit, leaving Illogical and Dado Racer as the last two drivers who are yet to pit, as far as I'm aware. If I could be wrong.
Yeah, so Darky's actually in front of Sato now, so that's going to go right down to the end of this race, this battle between Darky and Sato.
Well, actually, Darky's gained quite a lot of time on Sato by pitting early. So I think Sato's been held up with this battle with the logical sports, and this is exactly what we were talking about. Like, if you just end up in a battle for too long, you may as well pit. And because Darky's been running in clear air for all this time, because he pits so early on in the race. After Sato had his spin, he was pretty much straight onto pit road. So that strategy call has so far worked out very, very well for Darky, because he's actually pulled it out 6 seconds on Sato 15.
Yeah, you're true there as well. And Darky's just been constantly in the 40s since his pit stop. So, you know, he's just driving to a number, and it's a very fast number at that. So Sato's going to have his work cut out here to try and get through these Lambos, because I could imagine that obviously with track position, Dado should still be able to pit and come out in front of Dark Racing 40.
Well, Dado's currently one of the fastest drivers on the track at the moment. So I'm going to say Dado's going to run long. I reckon he'll probably pit within the last few minutes of the race, unless he has an accident and picks up damage. Because he may as well just exploit the clean air he has. I mean, a lot of the drivers are in clean air now because they've all made pit stops. But I reckon he just keeps powering round and just tries to rack up the lap times. Although it is difficult, because this is actually played out very differently to how the open race played out last night, where a lot of the... Well, actually, it's almost difficult to tell, because a lot of the drivers who were yet to make their pit stops all DNF'd, so we don't really know how the strategy came into effect. But if anything, last night showed that pitting early here actually works very, very well, because both the Porsches, the virtual drivers' Porsches, pit within the first few laps of the race for damage, but because everybody was battling in front of them, they actually ended up in 1-2 by the end of the race. That's actually why I pit towards the end after having battled the whole race, not knowing that the virtual drivers' Porsches had stopped, and then I crossed the line, and I just couldn't believe that I'd lost to them, because they just made the strategy work. But anyway, the closest...
A little bit of a battle here between Matty Seeking and Nürburger. So Nürburger has pitted, and that's what exactly I was predicting. Maybe he may have lost that position to Matty, which he did. So we'll see what Nürburger can do. He's obviously more seasoned into that Audi than what Matty is as a reserve driver in his Acura. So one would think that Nürburger may just get this position on Matty by the end of this race, but we have seen Nürburger struggling in the Audi this weekend.
Yeah, actually, it is a commendable effort that Matty has made to jump into this Acura effectively at the last minute. I don't even think he knew it. He was driving the car up until a few minutes before. So the issue that's happened is that Weary Knight has had essentially a modem failure, and he can't be here tonight, so he has a week to fix that. And at the last minute, Matty Seeking jumped into this car. And actually, it could have been me in that car had you not shown up, Woody, because I believe there was a reason why you only arrived pretty much at the last minute. So if you hadn't come, I probably would have jumped into that car. But whatever the case, Matty Seeking has done very, very well to jump into that NSX and actually outperform some of the regular Pro Lobby guys.
Definitely. He's done a tremendous job, actually. So hats off to Matty Seeking, and one would think why he may be in this open division when he's doing so well out here in the Pro, but he's definitely he definitely deserves to be in that open division, and definitely doing a good job in the open division, and I think he missed the first couple of rounds as he was becoming a married man, which he is now, as of now. A couple of weeks ago, he's married his partner and now wife, so Matty's doing a good job, and I can see him in the next few series as a logicals in, being able to mix it with the pro drivers, because his consistency gear has been getting better and better, and really there's nothing separating a lot of our pro drivers to our open drivers. It just comes down to more the consistency and being able to be aware of drivers around them, but this series here, I would have to say the Open Division has really showed up the pro drivers in the way that they've been able to race door handle to door handle fairly clean. And yeah, so it's obviously the Open Division guys are getting closer and closer, bridging that gap to the pro drivers.
Well, while that is certainly true, I have been surprised by just the outright speed that some of these pro guys have. Like, we weren't getting 38s in our qualifying sessions or consistent 39s throughout our races in the Open Division. But on the subject of Matty Seeking, he said that there was the possibility that he would return for a wildcard entry at the final race of the season at Imola. So watch that space there. And yes, he is now a married man. And when Darky and I, along with Maddie, recorded our episode of our podcast the other day, or yesterday rather, it was our condolences to Maddie Seeking on becoming a married man.
So yes, that's definitely a channel that we would like all our viewers and people watching the replay to maybe go and subscribe to as well, is to Gear3 Gaming's Triple Crown Racing YouTube channel, I believe it's on.
Yeah, that's right.
Some great content there. And there was a young go-kart driver or some sort of driver that you interviewed sometime last year, I believe, has gone on to other things over in America.
So that was Will Holt. So he for many years has been he's been on the American go-kart scene and he's been doing very well there. But I think it was a couple of years ago he moved up to US Formula 4. So I think he's aiming for IndyCar right now, and he's had a lot of success in karting. Maybe not in the best equipment in US Formula 4, but he's doing. I reckon he'll be going places in the not too distant future, as Nuremberg runs a bit wide in the background. But
yeah, so make sure you go and check out their Triple Crown Racing, and you can catch up on a lot of content over there.
Yeah, I used to
Gear3 Gaming.
I used to do first-person perspectives a lot of the old ANZCRL races. So that was mainly around 2019, 2020. So I've had some very, very exciting racing. Well, I've been part of some very exciting racing, and you can see that all from my perspective. So I won't plug for too much longer, but yeah, that's what my channel's all about.
I'll tell you what, though, one man that's going to be falling into danger if he doesn't pitch shortly, I believe, is Dado Racer. I think Darky is constantly been into these times where he's almost going to leapfrog Dado in the pits if Dado doesn't pitch shortly, because he's not going to be able to defend Darky in any way if he stays out on this track with the paces that we've been seeing from Dark Racing currently. Yeah. So Dado has to be careful here.
If he drops any more time, he'll probably end up coming out behind Sato as well, and that will have enormous championship implications, especially considering Sato's just won in the sprint race, beating Dado. But if Sato wins this round, they'll be tied up in terms of round wins. So it could be getting pretty close here. So this could be a pivotal moment in the championship, depending on when Dado comes in. Sorry.
But a big moment here from Dark Racing. If Dark Racing can win this race and Dado still finish second with Sato in third, there's a big possibility that Dark Racing 40 may even take the round. It'll be close between him and Dado, as Darky came home third in the sprint race, but getting a lot more points to win the feature race. So big moment if Darky wants to continue, but he'll definitely finish higher than Sato if Darky can win this race. So as I said, big moment here. We're going to have to keep our eyes when Dado pits, because it's going to be that. I think it'll be safe to pop out before Sato, but he needs to do something soon rather than later.
The gap seems to be dropping at the front there, because so far Darky and Sato are both faster than Dado. So
yeah,
and he needs to react soon. But I think Dado will probably have realised this by now and will be trying to put in the fast laps to try and pull out a bit of a gap before he comes in for his stop. But
while we wait that, why don't we try and go up on the hood, on the roof cam of Nürburgring while he's chasing down Maddie Seeking in front, because I tell you what, Nürburgring's been having a good race here for this feature race, and battling for this 5th position.
Yeah, I think he's actually been starting to slowly claw this gap back to Maddie Seeking. So I think a few laps ago, it's probably about 3 or 4 seconds, but now it's less than a second now. And I reckon the Acura and the Audi probably aren't too far away on straight line speed. And actually, there's somebody in front of these two. Yeah, actually, they're closing in on a logical as well. So this could be a 3-way battle for 4th place here. This could be getting very interesting in the not too distant future.
Very tasty as well, and this is exactly why Nürburgring turns up week in, week out, because he absolutely laps up this type of competition. And I tell you what,
Maddie's run a bit wide.
Yeah, and he has got eyes on this position, and then he'll look for a logical further up the road. But look at this warrior on board of the team WRT Audi R8, chasing down the Acura of Maddie Seeking. And what a fabulous view. We were on top of the car, but there is a time penalty between Maddie and Nürburgring. We knew Nürburgring had a 2-second penalty, but I think the way that Nürburgring's going, if he gets in front of Maddie, he should clear out and continue a battle on with a logical up the road.
Oh, Maddie was I think he just ran a tiny bit wide there. But this is getting very, it's not timing, sorry. We're on board, not on board, sorry, roof cam. Yeah, it's clearly, look how close Nürburgring is actually to Maddie now.
Yeah, but a logical's had a moment too, because you can see him even up there a lot closer now too. So
yeah,
a logical's finding going a little bit difficult in the later stages of this race. And it's no slouch from this Audi too. I think he was just under 270 in this slipstream the lap before. There he is, 272.
I don't think he'll duck to the inside. I think he'll try and get a better exit than Maddie Seeking here, because I think he was a little bit out of shape, not terribly out of shape, but not the most planted of entrances, so to speak. Can he hold on through 100R? He's on the curb. Oh no! It's a big moment. Hangs onto it, keeps it out of the wall. Oh, that's unfortunate for Nürburgring, but that was good car control to be able to hang on to it.
Yeah, definitely. So he's got another 14 minutes remaining. Oh, as Maddie's gone wide too. So out of the following corner after 10 are the hairpin. So can Nürburgring keep this challenge on Maddie? But Maddie's getting closer. You could hear that Nissan as Maddie came in through the Dunlop corner.
Yeah, that was such a close moment for Nürburgring. He was on opposite lock, basically drifting round 100R after he got on the curb. This is what I was saying. Get up on that curb, and it could be very, very costly for you. I think Nürburgring was just a little bit too eager on the throttle, and that pitched the car sideways. But he managed to throw it into the corner and just hold on to it just enough to keep it out of anything, and he's managed to hold on, but he's lost 3 seconds to Maddie Seeking.
Yeah, but see, that's good car control too by Nürburgring, because if he had looped that and lost control of that car, he would be further down the road and would be race over for him for this battle basically it could end up being 4th position, because these two cars battling for 5th and 6th are slowly catching their logical in 4th ahead. So you know, with 13 minutes remaining, there's plenty of time for these guys to try and pick up a 4th position before the end of this race.
That's absolutely the case. And I think Maddie is now, he'll have a Logical Sports in his sight, having somewhat dropped Nürburgring behind him. But Nürburgring is, he's starting to actually close in the gap to Maddie Seeking now. I mean, obviously it says he's 3 seconds slower, but he had that moment last lap. So I reckon he'll be going quicker on this lap as well, as he tries to close in Maddie Seeking. He's about 2.3 seconds adrift thereabouts, and will be looking to close in on the Acura, and Maddie will be looking to close in on his Japanese counter. Well, with the two Japanese cars in the Nissan and the Acura. the home race, well, not
Yeah.
sort of the home race for the two manufacturers here, as I believe this is a Toyota-owned circuit, and there's no Toyotas in the race, so that's a little bit irrelevant.
No, that's right. So, but they're both the P51 Sim Sports outfits, so you know, they're obviously sort of teammates within a way, but two different manufacturers, so they'll be still battling for positions. And Matty's seeking the boss of the P51 Sim Sports crew will obviously like to try and, you know, put one on one of his faster drivers, the Logical Sports, in front at the moment. But at the same time, he's got to try and keep Nürburger at bay. And Nürburger's slowly, he gained a second that previous lap, if not a little bit more. So Nürburger's got pace. He just needs to, you know, contain that at the moment and keep it nice and smooth for the last 11 minutes of this race.
Can I bring your attention back towards the front? Because the gap between Darky and Dado has actually come down even more, as Darky and Sato continue to be consistently faster than Dado. So I reckon it's actually gotten to the point now where Dado's left out too long, and when he pits, he'll be jumped by probably the both of them if he's unlucky. Well, I reckon Darky will definitely get through. Sato's probably a maybe.
And don't forget the two, Dado may have also a further race penalty applied after a steward's investigation in the way that he started the race, where he should have been behind Sato. And actually, well, from what we could see on our screens, he was basically a car and a half in front of Sato before the green light. And can't see how he didn't get any sort of in-game penalty due to that. So could be a glitch on our side of the screen, Skier. We're not too sure, but we'll just have to wait and find out after they scrutinise at the end of this event.
So the theory that I was working with Dado, which I've now pretty much debunked now, is that perhaps the lights came up before Dado, before anyone else. So he would have gotten the green flag a few seconds before everybody else. But
exactly.
The only thing that debunks that is if he got the green light early, he would have floored it and just dashed towards the first corner, unless maybe he did get the green light, but then realized that everybody else behind him hadn't started. So I don't know. It's a weird situation that will certainly need to be looked into after the race. I can't quite figure it out, to be honest. But yeah, if he
obviously there will be some interviews between them, and we'll probably find out if that was the case. If he obviously got the green lights and that was the case, well, you know, we can't take that away from him. But at the moment, he's done everything he can to be in the lead of this race currently, but he's the only driver yet to take his mandatory stop as he comes in now. So here we go.
This is a critical moment of the race. If pretty much like if he gets out before the pair of them, this could decide the race. And
he's held in the pit lane for a while, so I wouldn't be surprised that they may have done a little bit of damage repair. I'm not too sure. But it's a long
Not sure if you saw this on your screen, but he actually went through the lollipop for some reason. But anyway, here comes Darky down the start-finish straight, and he will most certainly jump him, and by most likely quite some margin. How close is Dado to the end of the pit lane? Yep, he's going to lose out to Darky.
Keep an eye on this, though, because Sato's coming on through too, so will Sato leapfrog as well as Sato comes down now, but he's going to have pace, but it looks like Dado may be able to get to the first corner.
So I think, in this case, Dado has just left it slightly too long. If he come in when he had the around, well, I think he would have had to have broken the 30-second gap to the car behind barrier in order to have gotten ahead of Darky on the exit of the pit lane. But so far, Darky's in control of the race. He's made his pit stop. If he doesn't make any mistakes and keeps this pace up until the end, he might be in with a shout for the win and might put himself right in the championship hunt.
Exactly, and if we rewind all the way to lap 3 when they were all coming together, lap 3 or lap 4, the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris were a tight battle for 1, 2 and 3, and Darky opting to pit straight away after all that argy-bargy was going on. We didn't know how that was going to pan out, but it's become a masterstroke by Dark Racing 40 and reaping those benefits at the moment. But as we said at the moment, Dado still in front of Sato. He needs to, for all his might, stay in front of Sato to finish in front of him for the round point scores. And there's a big possibility, as we say, depending on how it goes, that Dark Racing 40 may just get the outright victory. I'll go through the points now as Gear 3 Gaming will take you through the closing stages of this race.
Okay, so Dado Racer, as we've just established, has come out of the pit lane in second place. He's now just under 5 seconds adrift from Dark Racing 40 and currently leading Sato 15, so he was lucky to get out ahead. And it could have actually been Sato's spin that made all the difference in the grand scheme of the race. I've just noticed both Maddie and Nürburger have a time penalty, so depending on how large their respective penalties are, that may or may not play into the end of the race. So Maddie only has a 1 second, Nürburger has a 2, so that may or may not be interesting towards the end of the race. But I think right now, Dado and Sato, they're going to be the 2 cars to watch, as will, as will a logical Maddie and Nürburger as well, as they're all relatively close to each other. Dado, we don't exactly know what his pace is at the moment, as his last lap was an out lap. And it does look like the lap times are slowing a bit. We're not seeing these monstrously fast 1 minute 39s or 1 minute 38s that we were seeing from Sato and Darky earlier in the race. Sato, 2 seconds adrift of Dado behind the championship leader. Obviously, this race will certainly have championship implications. Darky might find himself within the championship hunt. Depending on whether or not Sato can clear Dado, he might end up taking the championship lead. It's all still to play for. And it's all still to play for on the championship lead, as Nürburger's had some kind of a moment. And I think he'll be dropping off the back of Matty Seeking now. I did notice the triangle go up next to his name, so he probably was within a second of Matty Seeking there for a second. But some kind of mistake has put him further back now. So yeah, we've just got confirmation, Gear, that if the positions stay as they are for the top 3, Darky will actually win the round with a total of 84 points over Dado and Sato, equal on 78 points. So that's a big move for the championship. That'll give Darky 35 points towards the championship, and both Sato and Dado will get 30 points for equal second.
So do we know who's going to be in the championship lead after this race, or? With that results there, it'll still be Dado in the lead over Sato by 5 points, and Dark Racing 40 would have closed that gap to Sato by another 5 points. So by 12 points, he will be behind Sato, or 17 points. I mean, not 17 points. He'll be, sorry, I'm just trying to work this out. He'll be actually 12 points off the lead from Dado, and only 7 points behind Sato.
Yeah, so Darky will have actually closed that gap significantly, because going into this round, he was 17 points off the lead of the championship.
Close it. That's right, yeah, so he'll close it within 12 points from the lead of Dado Racer.
Right, okay. Looks like Matty Seeking is beginning to drop Nürburger while chasing down a Logical Sports.
And that'll be a big moment too. A Logical Sports will obviously probably be taking 4th position in the championship as well. With this strong result, he'll come home in 3rd in this race.
Logical's currently running 4th, but we don't know how things are going to play out.
Yeah, but up for the round. But he'll get 3rd points because we'll have 2 on equal second. So he'll end up coming 3rd, and then so he'll close that gap on Nürburger, and may just even be equal points in the championship with Nürburger by the end of this.
Now, is Matty closing up to a Logical Sports? A Logical Sports was faster on that last lap, so I'm not entirely sure how much he's closing the gap. But it does look like a Logical might be slowing down a little bit. And I've just realised we've only got 2 minutes and 57 seconds left in this race. It has absolutely flown by. And has Sato made a mistake? I think he might have done, because he's just dropped 4 seconds behind Dado now.
Yeah, so he's just probably conceding that third position at the moment. Doesn't want to risk having any big moments that may ruin his position here on the podium.
It would certainly be a big
still trying to keep in front of Matty, isn't he? But yeah, definitely a big shake-up, as you were saying. So it's what we want to see with this in the start of the second half of this championship, round 4, and we've got only 2 more rounds to go. With that being next week, we find ourselves at Zolder for round 5, and then the final round for round 6 will be at Imola. So still plenty to play for this championship, and it's definitely on. And this has been the round, as we said from the start, that Darky needed to make sure he gets a good result, and it looks like he's going to take the round victory. With looks like he's going to have another lap after this, so we should find ourselves 28 laps.
I think. Oh, actually, I think we'll be on 27 laps. So he'll cross the line at the end of this lap to start lap 27, and he won't have time to complete another one. So that will be the checkered flag on lap 27.
Definitely. So he's got 1 more lap remaining. You're correct there, Gear. So. Not much longer to go for Darky at all.
There may be some last-minute dramas, though, as Nürburgring's starting to close up to Matty Seeking. He's gone 3/10 faster than him on that last lap, and all the while, Logical Sports is continuing to slow down a little bit. Matty Seeking's getting closer and closer to his lap times, so it could be rather interesting on the last lap between these 3 if they somehow close up. But,
yeah, for round position too overall, Nürburgring needs this position over Matty, because at the moment I think even as it finishes here, Matty will still be in front of him over the round. But if he gets his place, there's a possibility that he may just pick up that vital point that he needs over Matty, which is obviously Weary Night.
Yeah. No, it's all very interesting. Let's see what the exit's like. Oh, Nürburgring's run up on the curb. He may have just blown his opportunity to move up to 5th, depending on the...
Oh, I think he stayed on the loud pedal there, Gear. I don't think I could see that come off. I think he just tried to he manhandled that car.
He's done well
kept the gas in. Still only less than a second between him and Matty Seeking, as they're still catching this Nissan GTR of a Logical Sport. So if a Logical has a little moment on this last lap, these guys can come right on through.
Yeah, Logical is definitely slowing down. Both Nürburgring and Matty Seeking were faster than Logical on that last lap. So it could just be interesting to see how this plays into everything. Nürburgring looking to maybe try and catch up to Matty Seeking round 100R. It looks like he has done. Will he try to send it up the inside? The room's not there. What's his exit like? I'm not
bad
sure if
at
it's
all.
quite
Look
as
at
good.
this run he's got.
I don't want to look away, but Darky's probably coming very close to the end of this race, but the battle is still raging on here. Nürburgring, he's going to try it. He's on the back of Matty Seeking. Matty Seeking goes deep. He's on the grass. Can he find the way through? Nürburgring does the switchback. He's looking outside, but I don't think he's going to get through. Meanwhile, Darky, he points his car towards the checkered flag. He had an objective and he achieved it. And Darky wins the feature race here at Fuji Speedway, with Dado Racer consolidating his lead in the championship over Sato 15, who comes home in the Ferrari. But the battle is surely still happening. It's come down to the last corner. Nürburgring goes to the inside of Matty Seeking. He gets him sideways and he's through on the final corner. But I reckon there'll be some post-race things to deal with, as Nürburgring effectively forced his way through on the final lap, and he's just got Matty Seeking in the last corner of the last lap of this race. What a dramatic finish, and what a dramatic race this has been from pretty much start to finish. And Dark Racing 40 is the winner in the Barwell Lamborghini, and he will be absolutely delighted. What a race.
What a race it was, and well called, Gear 3 Gaming. And I tell you what, Matty left the door open on that final corner, and Nürburgring just plowed his car down the inside. And yes, it was a brutish sort of move, but we will have a little discussion later on the race, but to my eyes, I just think Matty just let that door open a little bit too much and gave Nürburgring that opportunity to make that position into 5th. But what a race, as we can see. Dark Racing 40 takes that feature race and ends up with a round victory as well. And Dado Racer and Sado take out the final places on the podium, but they will tie for positions for the round points on 78 points, and with a Logical Sports coming home in 4th, with Nürburgring, as we said, a very strong aggressive move into the final corner over Matty Seeking in that Acura, and Dark Lord just wasn't quite there on the pace in that Janetta, but still came home in a valiant 7th position and still on the lead lap. So all credit goes out to Dark Lord on a nice smooth race there at the back of this very aggressive and intense grid gear.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just noticed before I get into the next thing I want to talk about, on the screen it says that Fuji Speedway is in the United Kingdom, under where it says race. But actually, if you're willing to do so, can we do post-race interviews? Because I want to talk to Darky and I want to talk to Dado.
Well, definitely, if you want to get them in. We don't normally do the post-race interviews. We need to move on. We've only got probably 10 minutes, but let's get those guys in and see what they have to say.
I'm inviting Darky and I'm inviting Dado. So, no, we want to invite Dado, not join this party. I want these two in for post-race because I have questions I want to ask the pair of them.
And that's right.
I'll be joining and not run off to watch the NRL Grand Final, which wouldn't exactly be ideal. But yeah, the invite
just bear with us, guys, as we're just trying to get a couple of the drivers in just to see if we can have a quick chat. We don't normally do it, so the drivers won't be too aware. But
I'll send another invite. With us. I'm gonna send another invite to Darky and see if I can get him to join. No, I don't want him to join. I want to invite him to this party, and I want to invite Dado. Invite to party. Because I have there's for the purposes of the broadcast, I want to want to talk to Darky. If you could check your audio box.
Yes, I've ticked the box.
You have checked your box. Oh, is the stream still up, Woody? Because
it's still up. Yes, I just had to quickly go and turn the game volume down. But well done, Darky. Overall round victory, and I believe Gear3 Gaming has got a few questions for yourself.
Yes, I do. So, Darky, you must be absolutely thrilled with that result because that pretty much brings you straight into championship contention. Did you feel a pressure or a need to win this weekend?
Not really. I just wanted to not have a race where I stuffed up someone's race at the start there. Unfortunately, I tagged Sato coming in the backside, but I wasn't expecting him to break there because my brake mark. I'm like, okay, well, my brake mark was a little bit further than his. And yeah, I didn't mean to tag him, and then as soon as I did, I sort of backed off to let him, if I send him spinning to wait for him to come past me, and then I saw him, he's all right, and I just jumped back in behind and kept going, so...
Well, that's certainly interesting, but I do have another question. So you made quite an early pit stop. Was that to fix damage, or was that a strategy call to try and get that pit stop out of the way and run in clean air?
Nah, as soon as I hit Sato, I had 6 aero damage. I knew the car was going to be slow in a straight line, and with this track, you need to keep the speed and the grip in the front. So I decided, well, I might as well pit now to repair the car to lose the minimum amount of time, and it kind of paid out for me. So,
well, you certainly made the best of this bad situation. Well, you should be very proud of yourself this weekend, Darky. It looks like you've gotten to grips with that Lamborghini. You were properly fast during that race, and that is a well-deserved race victory. Dado Racer, if you've checked your audio box, I have questions for you as well. I'm not sure if... Well, obviously, congratulations on a double podium finish. That is a commendable race result. You must be pretty happy with that.
And I might just add too, just so he's aware as well, equal points with Sato for second position, both on 78 points overall. So come home equal second for round points, and Darky ended up finishing on 84. So he cleared out 6 points in front of you guys. But Dado, I'll leave you back here with Gear, because he has got some questions he would like to ask you for about that feature race.
I do. So I'm not sure what happened on your screen, or if this was a glitch that we had on our end, but it seemed that there was some weirdness at the start. Did anything happen on your end? Nothing. Yeah, because
yeah, it looked like you were a car and a half in front on our screens, but we don't know if you got the green light before anyone else or not.
went on the green light. That's probably just a bit of weirdness from the game there.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Fair enough. Anyway, you made...
Interesting.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, you made the most of being out in front there, Dado, and sort of set yourself up for the race. But I think Gear would probably agree with the next one, that we think that you may have stayed out that little bit too long and weren't able to defend the position for first over the fast charging Darky. Who knows?
Well, whatever the case, it was an absolutely spectacular weekend of racing. Anyone who's watching the replay, I'm sure you enjoyed that. And I think that pretty much rounds us off from Fuji Speedway. I'll hand you over back to Woody Lizard to end the show today, so you can all go and watch the grand final instead.
Yeah, thank you so much to Gear3 Gaming, and hearing his expert commentary over our screens has been absolutely fabulous here at ANZCRL, and we really appreciate his efforts and joining in and giving us a lot of insights into the grid early on in race 1 and throughout the racing. We've really been entertained by Gear3 Gaming. So until next week, we hit Zolder, have a good week. Enjoy the grand final for those people inclined to watch the NRL grand final, and hope that your team that you're barracking for wins. But until next weekend, we will say see you later. I've been your host, Woody Lizard, and as you know, Gear3 Gaming. So we'll see you next week. Cheerio.
Bye for